to talk to all of you. So really quick, I'm obviously not a movie critic or anything like that, but I watched the documentary, and to avoid giving any spoilers, could any of you give us a quick description of what the fans can expect before watching this?
Why don't you guys take that?
Chale. Dale, bro, dale.
Yeah, well, you're about to see, it's the story behind the story, man. It's the chance to be part not just of the team, but of the families of these players. No, you get a chance to really get to know the human side of what does being a Chivas player means, and everything that affects to that. And like everybody said, like to understand the phenomenon of Chivas, you have to live it, and this series allows you for 4 episodes to be part of that.
So,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead,
would
go
just
ahead.
further that. I would say, the cool thing about this is that, look, there's a lot of documentaries and sports documentaries. This is sort of like the first of its kind, in Mexico, especially for Amazon. They haven't really done something like this, but Chivas being this like world renowned team with like this massive fan base is interesting enough. But the fact of like, what sort of like led to, what the story was this season, you don't really see a lot. You have a team sort of on the road to redemption after, this incredible success in years past, but the last few years not having gone so well, dealing with this sort of traumatic incident with the longtime beloved owner, Jorge Vergara dying, and his son Amaury, who's a lot more of like what we are, of a filmmaker than, somebody who owns a sports team. Seeing this son sort of like trying to carry on the legacy of his father, but also repair sort of like what hasn't went right the last couple of years, it's an incredible journey to be on. And I think, this was like, it's amazing to follow Chivas like any year, like that would be incredible. There's so much story there. The players are so incredible. They have a great history, but this season specifically, it's like, you couldn't dream of, a more interesting sort of like way into a series like this.
So you did mention that Amaury Vergara is a filmmaker, and yeah, it's very clear to us that he probably was on board with this whole process. But how were you able to get the players and the coaching staff? Because this is a very intimate situation where they're exposed. I mean, there was a lot of controversy in some of the cases. People will see that during the documentary, and you were able to actually put it on video. And even us as media, we don't have that, the inside of it. But this goes beyond that. So how were you able to convince at least the coaching staff and the players to be able to open up like that?
Actually, it's great that you say that, because I think that's something unique about this docu-series, that we went beyond what people is used to, and we got to be so close and so close to the intimacy of the players that it's something never seen before somehow. And at least here in Mexico, nothing gets close. And it has to do with the work that we've been doing, Ruben and I, for almost 5 years. It's like we've been working close to Chivas since 2016, and we already did a movie with them, that premiered on 2018. And I think that was the key for being close and having already kind of like the trust of the board and the players. They were open because they knew our work, and we took advantage of that to take it to the next level. And actually, as you said, it's full of complicated moments, for them, not only in football wise, but also in their private lives. And we were there to film it. So I think this has a unique value that, the fans are going to love it. And even people that doesn't like Chivas, or they don't know about Chivas, they're going to find it very interesting, because at the end it's human stories, that you can relate to. So I think it's a very powerful series that we have on our hands.
Right. I felt that it was like we've said before, like it's a very intimate setting. And I believe that in all my years of doing this, I never realized that players and a club can also be humanized, because we also see them during those 90 minutes plus whatever time we get with them at the moment, to talk to them or whatever. But then when I was looking towards this, the part of the family situations, things that tell me, wait a second, these are humans too. I mean, they go through this. They feel the pressure of the fans. They feel the pressure of the
Their
people around
families.
them. Yeah. So what kind of reaction are you hoping to achieve from the fans when watching this?
I definitely think it's going to be a surprise because in Mexico it's not common to have this kind of content. You're used to see what is being done in the US, but all of a sudden you get a series about the most popular team in Mexico, and everybody relates to the sports situation. And I think they're gonna get a big surprise when they see it and have that exact reaction. That they're gonna realize what it means to be in the stand, in the golden chair, to be a part of Chivas, a player, and that at the end these are 20, 23-year-old kids, just learning to deal with all of this, so it's gonna be quite a surprise, I think.
Just to further, what Ivan and Ruben said, I think trust is so key. And what you said, like when you described your reaction to the series, it's nice if somebody's like very entertained and and was locked into the story, but that as a filmmaker, what you said is the biggest compliment possible, which is like we're showcasing something, we've got access in a way that you're seeing something you never could, and you probably have to deal with this all the time, but athletes have been sort of trained, sometimes rightfully, sometimes it's wrong, but from a young age, like the press is somewhat of like an enemy,
Yeah.
and somebody who's going to take advantage of everything you say. And so not having a lot of shows like this, the fact that cameras are around, that means the press is around. That means we have to be guarded and careful. And it's only through the many years of hard work from Ivan and Ruben that they achieve this trust, from some of these players specifically, but really from the organization, for them to be able to just let us in and just say, hey, you're here for it. And that's the, what's interesting about a show like this. If we only are showing you stuff you've seen already, then people are going to tune out really quickly. They need to see the stuff that they never see, the stuff that's not on camera and isn't talked about. And I think there's a lot of that here.
So
I'll add, just one more thing, something that we had in our hands that was new for us. It was that, this series, it's on Amazon Prime Video and it's going to be worldwide. It's a global series. So we ask ourselves before starting this series, like, how can we make this interesting to people that lives in China or in France or in Africa? It's like, how can we get their attention if they have their own football leagues and they have their sports going on? And we went, down to the very basics of human relations. And we said, like, if we tell the story of these human beings, right, people is gonna relate no matter where they are from, so that's the reason that we put our attention in not only covering, the what happens on the locker room and what happens on the pitch, but also like go to their homes and really break the mold as some other series do it, that they have a day or a couple of afternoons with the player, and that's all they can get. It's like we really try to get close and to really find these moments that define them as characters. And I think that's something that makes this series different and appealing to everybody, anywhere in the world.
So I have a lot of more questions, but I'm gonna just simplify it in two. So with the pandemic, obviously you guys had a lot of challenges. Maybe it didn't go the way that you wanted. You can feel that there might be a pause in between the process of filming. What kind of challenges were you seeing during the process of doing the documentary? And were you thinking about stopping the filming at any point?
The biggest challenges that you can imagine, that's what we were facing. At some point, this series was in doubt. We could have stopped the filming of the series. We didn't know, as everybody else in the world, what was going to happen, and we were really trying to understand what we could do to keep on going with the story while this was happening. And at some point we said, like, man, this is the magic of documentary films. It's like whatever is happening, it's part of the story. So something that came as an obstacle to the series actually made make it part of the story and make it even more unique, you know, and gave us the possibility of like recording, you know, this phenomenon, this world phenomenon through our characters, and make a historic episode, you know, about COVID. So it was very interesting. It was very interesting.
Lastly, there are many storylines happening as they develop. How was the process to arrange them in the way that they ended up? I mean, because most of these were happening at the same time, I suppose, and some of them were past, kind of like present. How was that idea to arrange them the way they ended up?
Yeah, look, that's always a challenge, like, you know, in any show. And I think one like this, where sort of the rug gets pulled out with COVID, you know, and throws you for a loop, it makes everything a little complicated. But I think, you know, the sort of like blessing of this is everybody's story. I think once we pulled back and looked at the context of everybody's stories, like what happened before this season and where they headed, there was a natural sort of order in which it feels like it should have laid out. And it sort of, you know, nothing's easy. I mean, all these shows are incredibly hard to make, but when you actually break that down and then you follow the schedule of the season and you see sort of like who's performing in what games and where the storylines come up, it all laid in. And I think that worked very naturally. For instance, like, you know, we're introducing the storylines of Pollo and Chicote in the second episode. And, you know, those are guys like coming off the bench. And that's when you have the Copa, right, which is for the players who are on the bench. It just worked out sort of like perfectly like that. And, you know, we just looked at the season and looked at our characters and said, how can these lay out in relation to what's happening in the game? Because at the end of the day, these are human stories. We're back at home with them, but also we're focused on what's happening on the field too. And everything needs to intersect with that, you know?
Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys, for your time. It was a great docuseries, and I'm wishing you the best. I'm pretty sure people will like it.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And when is this going to be running, by the way? When is this
June
going
18th.
to be running?
All the episodes drop on June 18th. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Take care now.